Some conversations change the way you think. Some guests challenge the way you lead. Today, it's Mark W. Schaefer, the Mark W. Schaefer, a voice of truth in a world of noise, author of Audacious, consultant, creator, humanist. This is not a show. This is a call to arms.
I've never met someone who deserves the day the way that you do, Joseph. It's time to get ready and the spotlight's shining down upon you, Joseph. So be back, hold from. I'm on my way, yeah, here it comes. And I'm delivering a wish to you, so get ready. From every peak and valley, they're telling you to get ready, 'cause here it comes. It's on the way. It's a celebration across the nation.
Hi, this is Penn Gillette, Penn and Teller. Big guy does magic, smaller guy next to me, he does magic too. He doesn't talk that much. I want to talk about Joseph Jaffe is not famous, and Joseph Jaffe is not famous. Joseph Jaffe is wicked not famous. Joseph Jaffe is superlatively not famous, and for good and sufficient reason. I mean, maybe his guests are famous. Maybe his guests are famous. He gets some famous people on his guests, but Joseph Jaffe himself is not famous. That's the important part. You can have famous guests and still not be famous. And if you want an example of that, well, Joseph Jaffe would be a really good example. Teller would do a better job at a talk show, and Teller doesn't talk, which you'd think would be one of the major qualifications of being on a talk show and not being famous. What's that, Teller? Oh, yeah, Teller says, Joseph Jaffe, not famous. Love you.
We are human, we are animals, we crave the ability to be we. I know it's called me Andes. We Andes might have sounded differently, right?
Is it a disco now?
Yeah, it's an after party, so it's now we go with the flash.
My goal in life is to be a laptop sticker.
Me too.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.
It's a great honor, Mr. Jaffe. It's always nice to be with you.
I'm so happy to be with you. I'm honored.
Thanks for doing this too. It's a real service to the community.
What a great organization and a show that offers hope, optimism, creative solutions, entertainment.
Thank you for doing this, Joseph. It's your gift to the universe, and it's appreciated.
Very human, and I like that.
Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're insane!
The Mark Schaefer coming on the show soon enough. It is bold, it is daring, it is courageous, it is audacious. His new book, 11 of them. I've just, I've given up trying to emulate Mark Schaefer. I just want to, it's Mark Schaefer's world, and I'm just living in it, and very happy to. We're going to actually get to determine or get to decide if Mark has a new goal in his life, because the last time he was on, his goal and mine was to be a laptop sticker. Has he evolved to become more than just a laptop sticker? Is being a laptop sticker enough in life? I would argue absolutely. But a man can dream, a human can dream, and Mark is a humanist. So he will be coming on the show shortly. I am happy, I'm in flow because he is with me. I always start off by sharing my why statement. As a teacher, facilitator, and coach, I help high aspiring entrepreneurs, owners, and their leadership teams get unstuck, return to growth, and become forever changed. Why stuck? Well, when you're stuck, you want to be unstuck. I started this very show when people were stuck at home or stuck in general, and I'm still on the same mission. And if you want to join, please subscribe to the show, bit.ly/subscribe to the show. When it comes to growth, I am fortunate now to call myself a business and leadership coach, helping small and medium businesses get what they want from their growing business. And when I say return to growth, growth doesn't always mean growing out or market share or EBITDA. Sometimes it can also mean growing up, or just growth in general, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional growth. And finally, forever changed. This is the first non-business book I've written, how a global pandemic changed my direction, my purpose, and my life. It is a very personal book. I really only talk about it here on the show. I don't market it. I don't even communicate about it. But if you want to become forever changed, I'll give you a little clue. All you have to do is follow this recipe. Amor, which is do what you love. Veritas, your authenticity, your purpose, your meaning. And finally, vigor, stay the course. Love what you do, be true to yourself, and stay the course. This is about endurance. It is about stamina. It is about energy. It is about what the Finns call sisu. And I just returned from Finland. The power of actually just keeping going. It is a very powerful thing indeed. But now it is time for a powerful, hopefully, seated soliloquy, which is always connected to my guest. And today it is called, and it is all about the idea of courage. So when you look at the dictionary definition of the word audacious or audacity, one of the words that describes audacity is the word courage. And, connected with me, because when I think of audacious, I think of bodacious, I think of being almost flamboyant. I think of this idea of being bold, and bold is connected to the word courage, taking risks. But the word courage is just powerful, because sometimes you've got to do the right thing, even if it is the hardest thing. Sometimes you've got to be able to stick your neck out, knowing that it might be chopped off. Sometimes you've got to have the strength of your convictions to be able to follow up and follow through and be able to execute on what you believe to be right, knowing full well that it might not be, knowing that there might be repercussions or consequences. Sometimes you've got to be able to just go for it. Just go for it, knowing to the victors go the spoils, knowing that there will be downside as well, but there's always going to be learning. What did they say? Learning to fail or failure to learn. So audacious, it sounds like it's something not for most people. Most people don't have the ability to be audacious. But maybe, just maybe, you can join the club, join the conversation, join a community of bodacious, audacious people that are prepared to, utilize that spine, be able to take a chance, demonstrate courage, and know at the end of the day that you are not alone, that we have your back, that we will be there for you, that we will pick you up when you fall, and give you that little bit of extra boost or courage to be your very best. And now, when we talk about the best, there is no one better than Mark Schaefer. Now, I noticed in the one sheet that he filled out to give me some direction, he pretty much gave me zero direction, because he knows I don't need direction when it comes to him. But he didn't fill in his bio. And so because we're going to be talking about AI today, AI created the bio for Mark Schaefer. My guest today is the Mark W. Schaefer, consultant, keynote speaker, college educator, and the author of 11 books, including his brand new one, Audacious. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, taught thousands of students and entrepreneurs, and shaped the way we think about marketing, branding, and community. Mark is a builder of businesses, a challenger of assumptions, and a relentless believer in the human side of business. Please welcome Mark W. Schaefer. That was AI, by the way.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
There was nothing artificial about that.
No. Mm-mm.
In
I
fact,
mean, no hallucinations in sight on that one.
and we're gonna be introduced to some hallucinations coming up as well, because I really played with AI today, with you and for you, and I thought actually when the time is right, what we might even do is actually go through all the prompts and critique AI, and maybe AI will even talk back to us. So we'll have a little bit of fun. But first of all, what appearance is this now on the show? It's close to the smoking jacket one. I can tell you that. It's not a smoking gun.
Yeah. It's got to be around 5, I would say.
Well, at 5, you get the smoking jacket. So let's just say it's 4, because I don't have a smoking jacket for you. So
Yeah.
you're going to need to write one more book.
But let's round up to 5.
Let's round up to 4 rounds down to 0. So anyway, Mark, I put this together for you. I put you upside down, and as you saw it, I could just see you guffawing in the background. Do you think this is audacious enough?
It is, because the reason I was laughing is because I know when I'm with you, I'm always going to be surprised and laugh. And so as soon as I signed into the room, that's the first thing that I saw. I thought, okay, we're back. We're back. It's me and Joe. We're back. And
I was at one of my EOS conferences, and we did this amazing workshop on freedom. The whole concept was on freedom, and the facilitator spoke about this idea of our default path and our created path. So it's a concept between default and created. So default is when you walk into a room, how do you show up? How do people see you? How do you think people see you? And then there's the created path. And the 2 words I wrote down were surprise and delight. That's how I want to show up. So that you mentioned the word surprise, like you never know what you're going to get. The unexpected, the spontaneous, and then the delight is, funnily enough, the smiling or the laughter. So the 2 words you used, simpatico, are exactly how I want to show up.
Now, and I want to build on something that you said there. I actually had an epiphany about my own creativity and how I show up about a week or so ago. So there's something about me that I haven't been able to figure out. In my early days of blogging, I was like funny. I was footloose and fancy free. I wrote this one blog post about what it would be like if Barbie was on Twitter. And, it was even today, it was like 10 years ago. It still holds up. It was funny. And I haven't written something funny in years. And I'm thinking, has something changed about my personality? Am I less funny? Am I less happy? And I was talking to Carla Johnson last week, who has written this book on creativity and innovation, right? And she said, often how we show up is based on what is expected of us. And it sort of hit me like a thunderbolt, because like I had a different place in the world 10 years ago compared to where I am now. I mean, you and I, we were cutting our teeth on social media. We're trying to figure it out. We were trying to establish our presence, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had nothing to lose. And now I'm in this place where I've written books and I teach classes and, I speak around the world, and like people, I think they look up to me, and I take my position of leadership seriously. I want to set a good example. I want to show people that you can succeed without being toxic. You can lift people up. And so it's like, wow, I think that explains it, is that I sort of am wearing this different cloak now, and so it kind of made me sad in a way. And so I'm going through this introspection, and I know you didn't expect to start the show this way.
Oh, I 1000% expected it to start in a way that I did not expect it. So I immediately wrote a little Venn diagram while you were talking, which is maybe there's a third path, right? There's the default path,
Yeah.
there's the created path, and then there's the expected path. And I actually read the other day, disappointment, right, is directly correlated with expectations. It's just directly. So if you manage expectations, you can also manage disappointment. But in your case, if you are showing up and how you show up is based on what people expect of you and from you, the disappointment in this case is you're disappointed in yourself because you expect to show up differently. And so it's interesting to me because one of the things we do, even when we at the beginning of a coaching session, is we say one of the objectives is to have fun, because life is so. Mark, it's very, very pertinent to me. I started hearing on the show back in the COVID years, people were saying that was so much fun. That was so much fun. I had so much fun. And I actually got upset with it initially because I was like, no, this is a talk show. I've worked, I've done research, I've put together this. What do you mean you had fun? Fun is frivolous, fun is superficial. And then I leaned into it and I was like, this is what makes this different and special, having fun. And so that became this idea of, David Brooks calls it resume and eulogy virtues. Why can you not have a little bit of fun? Life is so damn serious.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like opened up a whole new area of inquiry for me because, first of all, I do have fun. I mean, I love what I do. I really do. I have fun every single day. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy doing something like this. I really cherish, having good conversations with friends like this. But I will say something else. In the process of writing this book, okay, so let's take a high level. What's the problem I'm trying to solve with this book? Audacious, how humans win in an AI marketing world. I'm trying to sift through this existential problem of where do we fit? And the theme is, look, if you're competent doesn't cut it. Competent is ignorable. You've got to reach deep, and I want to definitely get back to this word of courage that you talked so beautifully about a moment ago, because that is a key idea. But there's something else in terms of the culture of Audacity, and that is fun. I got to meet some of the greatest creative minds in the world. I got to go to their offices. I got to meet and have lunch with them in New York. And one of the common themes was fun, this ability to be childlike and play. And I got to tell you something, Joe. I struggle with that. I mean, I really do. I mean, when I'm with a child, I'll get down on the floor and I'll play. I'll make blocks and be silly. But like bringing that into my work, it's like, geez, why am I struggling with this so much? So I recognize it. It is important, I think, with the creative culture. Part of being able to be audacious, be bold, take risks. Part of it is courage. Part of it is to be childlike and being able to play. So I'm like trying to like learn a little bit about myself through this process.
So here's an interesting observation. I see the fun part in you. And I think I would say two things. There's a difference between fun and funny, right?
Yeah.
When I was on my way to South by Southwest, I saw all of your videos. And to me, you were childlike because nobody does that. You're like, you got your backpack on and, and you're talking to the phone and you're having fun. And you're having fun and you're curious, and that's what I see in you. And a little piece of me is a little jealous. I almost feel the sense of jealousy. As in, I wish I was there with him. I wish I was there right now. I'm going there. But the way that you're reporting on it, again, I see someone having fun. There is no burden there.
You just, taught me something about myself too, because that's a really interesting observation, because I am a curious person, and I do like create videos when I'm having fun and when I'm in a cool place and I'm like curious. And like I very rarely create videos. I put videos on Instagram probably once a month because I don't force it. So this is something I'm thinking about. Like, I create a video when I am authentically like on fire and having fun and I'm with interesting people. I don't try to perform every week. So, I mean, you are seeing the real me in those
Yeah,
moments.
and
I'm
I
not
don't
trying to
see
be an influencer.
I don't see someone going, I'm putting on my influencer hat. I'm putting on my
Yeah,
content
no,
creator hat. I'm putting on my
never,
selling hat to try
never.
and, get someone to slide into my DMs.
Yeah,
I just see someone having fun.
yeah, yeah. I got the most traction I ever got, I think, on a video. I was at a Bruce Springsteen concert, which, I've been in love with Bruce since I was a kid. And my wife bought me these tickets, and we went to Pittsburgh to see him. And here we are in this big arena with, 30,000 people. And, I made this video, and my wife was there. I said, "Oh my gosh, here I am. I'm going to see Bruce. There's a stage." And my wife was behind me. And, it was sort of like a childlike, authentic enthusiasm. And, I think the world kind of needs that too, right? They need to
I
see.
thought, wait a second. I thought you were a
Yeah,
Band of Horses fan.
I am that too. You and I saw that show together.
So we have had many wonderful experiences at South by Southwest.
Yes.
We also had this a very personal experience about, we're talking about friendship and friendships, and and how we only see each other once a year.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's enough. Can there be more? Yes, of course. In fact, I would see you every day of my life if I
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
But one year in particular, we went out for dinner, and it was Equal Man, Eric Quolman,
Mhm.
yourself, and myself,
Yes.
and tell the story of what happened, and then I will, as they say, roll the video, and I will roll the
Okay.
video afterwards.
So, I mean, literally, this was a dinner that changed the course of my career and my life. So we were at dinner, and we were at a nice bistro after a long day at South by Southwest, and we noticed that people were leaving the restaurant. They're just leaving their food. Now, my back was to the door and the big windows, and I turned around, and people were standing out on the sidewalk. So Joseph and Eric, we looked at each other, and we left our food. We stood up and left our food. We went out on the sidewalk, and this is what we saw.
Roll the video.
Now, today, drone shows are more common. Maybe we saw it at a sporting event or a music festival, but this is the first time we'd ever seen it. And you and I and Eric took a selfie photograph with this ad. And this is what led to the Audacious book, because it haunted me, because I thought, if someone challenged me to create a story or a marketing activation that was so compelling, people would leave their food in a restaurant to go see it, could I do it? And the answer is no, I couldn't. And it led to this curiosity where to figure out, who did this? How did they do it? Is there something scalable here? Are there lessons about how they thought about this story that we could learn and apply to any kind of business. Well, it turns out the agency behind this was Giant Spoon, people that I had been familiar with because I admired their work in so many other places. I called up the president of Giant Spoon and I said, I want to learn how you do this. I want to come to your offices. I want to sit in your meetings. I want you to share all your secrets. And then I'm going to put it in a book. What do you think? He said, absolutely. And that, led me on this path over 2 years to meet with the greatest creative geniuses in the world to try to figure out how do we stand out? Where do humans fit in this AI world? And it led to the framework that I built the book around.
It's so funny, you used the word, is it scalable?
Yeah.
Right. And you probably in the back of your mind were thinking, obviously, at that point, in order to break through now, in order to be able to really get someone, and I love the litmus test is, would someone leave their food for you? Does it have?
It's the same as the laptop sticker.
Yeah, it is
so good. People would put you on your computer. That's
right.
good.
Right, leave their food,
yeah,
and put you on their, not as opposed to eat their food on your laptop sticker. But and big, bold, brave, audacious, right? Taking a risk. I mean, no doubt you're aware of all these examples. Even Apple's 1984 commercial apparently was rejected. I think Steve Jobs said no. And they and somehow it ran. So let me ask you that question: is that the litmus test of Audacious? Something that lived and died on a precipice, that was so precarious on a precipice to have seen the light of day. Is that how you know in your gut that you're on the right track?
I think that the answer is yes. And I think that gut reaction is probably different for every person in every industry. And so, one example that I love in the book, and I also want to emphasize that the book isn't full of just like, drone shows and these, big budget things. There's hundreds and hundreds of examples in the book of small businesses and small budgets. And so it really is something that applies to everybody. But, I think that where we are today, Joe, is the bar, the hurdle for Audacity is so damn low because the world is so freaking boring. It's just mind-blowingly boring. There's research in the book that shows basically B2B and B2C. About 2/3 of all ads and marketing are ignored. If we had a CEO of advertising, they'd be fired because it's so boring. And so, you think about, car commercials. I don't care what a Hemi engine is. I don't even know what it is. They're all the same. And you think about pizza is a favorite example of mine. Pizza is something that's so joyful and everybody loves pizza and children love pizza and everybody loves pizza. What's the most audacious thing we have in the pizza industry? In America, we have an ad, Pizza Hut. Nobody out-pizzas the Hut. What the hell does that even mean? So, I mean, the bar is so low. And then you get into B2B and the bar's even lower. So, Audacity by company, by industry, it is a big function of your culture and the risk that you're willing to take. But most times the bar isn't that high. It's just, disrupting disrupting the status quo.
I mean, I cannot emphasize how important that point you just made is. And if people are paying attention, what you should be paying attention to is the fact that, yes, you see these exceptional circumstances, but the bar, the barrier to entry is so damn low. And even if you look at South by Southwest, how many companies don't even show up? They don't even show up. They don't even put their ante up. They don't even get into the game. and then it takes one to just blow everyone away.
Yeah.
You know, it's that example. I don't know if it was Monty Python or Benny Hill. It's a skit where a sergeant major, I say this all the time, a sergeant major says to a bunch of cadets in line, I need someone to volunteer for a suicide mission. And everyone just takes a step back, except one person, who's the schmuck who's standing still.
Yeah.
Sometimes just even, just staying in the game, that's the endurance. That's the vigor. Just give yourself a chance, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm glad you brought up, South by Southwest, because, many aspects, I think, in terms of the brand activations, it was the most boring experience I think I've ever had from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, I agree.
And you go through like the trade show, and you just look at some people, and this is their big chance to show off what they do, and you cannot even tell what they do. I mean, you've got to like read fine print someplace, or it's just, absolutely mind blowing. And so, what I found that there is a pattern to this, and it's about, so what is a marketing story? What's the story you tell about you and your product and your products? Well, there's a narrative. It's what you say, it's where you say it, and it's who says it. And so this book provides a framework and lots of different ideas and activations that will help you disrupt your marketing in some way. So there's ideas, there's prompts, there's even a little measurement system. And I'll announce on your show, this hasn't even been published yet, but what's happened, Joe, is a lot of people have come to me and said, yes, this is right. How do we get started on this? How do we jumpstart our brainstorming? So in the next few days, I'm publishing a workbook to go with the book. So I haven't even mentioned that anywhere yet. So this is a world premiere that'll be available in the next few days.
I love it. Now, let me ask you a question, and congratulations as well. One of the things you said in the little Google Doc is you said, I'm desperate to get my ideas out into the world. And I feel that, because so am I. I shared this the other day with a bunch of startup founders. I said, here's the thing when it comes to luck. I said, there are plenty. In fact, there is a cacophony of mediocre, average ideas that are worth billions and trillions today, Facebook. And there are incredible ideas that can change the world that will never see the light of day. It is ultimately the cross that we bear. And it is a frustration that you do not experience alone. And even like little things, like people may not realize the QR code on the cover of the book, the QR code in that Audacious drone activation, the lowly QR code, yours does something exceptional. And I'm going to ask you to share what it is, but I'm also going to ask you a personal question, which is, do you think people even get it and understand how amazing it is? Because that is the artist. That is the tortured artist in you and me, my friend.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad you brought up this concept of being desperate to get your ideas out. And, you sort of, you were self-deprecating in the introduction, talking about that I've written, 11 books, but I don't have a plan to write a book. I only write a book when I'm desperate to get ideas out. And look, we are in an existential crisis where AI is coming for us. It's nipping at the heels of our skill sets and our careers. And I'm immersed in this world, and I can see what's coming, and most of the world is asleep, and they are not going to know what hit them. And so it's like, I'm just begging people to wake up and please, read this book so you can get a concept of what's happening. And you've got to, create something that transcends the competent content of AI. So that's why I'm desperate, to get these ideas out. Now,
well, by the way, I love the concept of how do you know when it's time to write a book, when you can feel the explosion that is,
that's
you can
exactly it.
feel.
It's and it takes a long time for me to get there, because writing a book is so much sacrifice and so much work, and so it's got to be right. But once it clicks in, then I'm all in, and I become obsessed with it, and not in a healthy way. Now, so I was challenged with the book because it's called Audacious. So somehow that book better be audacious. And so this was a great, I guess, case study in Audacity with severe limitations. And the limitations are, first of all, financial, because you can't spend that much to promote a book, because the profit margins on books are so low, and you're not going to sell hundreds of thousands of business books. So I have a financial constraint. Then you've got the constraint of the freaking publishing industry, which has created books the same way for 200 years, and there's no changing it. So what I had to do was work with, what is going on, what's some underutilized ideas and technology I could bring together. So here's what happened. We took the book, we uploaded it to AI, and we had AI create abstract art based on the stories in the book and linked it to the QR code. So when you hover over the QR code, which is the cover of the book, the cover changes endlessly. It's the infinity cover. It'll never be the same way twice. In fact, we're updating the art every week. So even week to week, there's going to be new experiences based on the stories in the book. So in a way, it disrupts the story. No story has ever been told this way. It disrupts where the story is told. There's a story coming from the cover of the book, and it disrupts the storyteller. There's not even a human involved. And you ask a really interesting question. Do people notice? Now, I do have some data around that, because I do see statistics from the QR code, knowing like how many people are clicking this thing.
I'm doing it right now, by the way. I use the QR code on my screen and with my book over here, and I'm busy just experiencing it as I'm talking to you.
Yeah, and so some of the, if you've read the book, you'll say, "Oh, I get it. I know what that one is." And some of them are so abstract, maybe it's more difficult to tell. But we wanted to be playful. We didn't want it to be on the nose, like, oh, it's a picture of Mark, big deal. We wanted it to be abstract. We wanted it to be colorful. We wanted it to be game-like. So on average, we're getting about 2 clicks per reader. And what I'm hearing, Joe, is that children are enjoying the cover of the book. So parents are saying, "Oh, look at this," and children are playing with the images on the book. So, do people get it? I don't know. I'm proud of it because it's a first in the world. It's revolutionary. No one's ever done this with a book before. But do people realize that? I don't know.
So there is a real interesting parallel path, right? Which is, you've done something that potentially can change book publishing forever.
Yes.
You would think that every book publisher in the world would say, let's jump on that and let's do that as well. And yet they don't. And this is the classic example of whether it's the frog and the scorpion, or maybe I should say the boiling frog syndrome. It's got to do with frogs for sure.
Yeah.
But we're given the gift Another analogy I use sometimes, I say, if we gave marketers the goose that laid the golden egg, they would cook it on the barbecue, as opposed to recurring revenue. So, so why don't we do what's good for us? Because, well, let's start off with human nature. Why are we not getting with the program? Why are we not jumping on and figuring AI out? Because you said it's coming for us. Why are we not doing that?
Before we do that, I want to build on something you said about, okay, I created this cover. Now everybody else is going to jump on it. And maybe not, because Audacity is like a piñata. You can only hit it once. Then the candy falls out and then it's not so good. So I fully expect people will copy the idea. But if you think, hey, that was Schaefer's idea. He did it. You're just a copycat. So there is sort of a shelf life and a uniqueness to Audacity. Now, to answer your question about why aren't people getting on board, and there's two parts, I think, to your question. First of all, the AI part of it, I got to tell you something. Like, I am shocked. I speak to audiences all over the world, and the percentage of people that are actively using AI is like incredibly low. And I'm talking executives, I'm talking marketers, I'm even talking students are not using this as much as they should. Now, why is it so dull? Why is business and in advertising and marketing so chronically dull? And I think a lot of this, and you've talked about this, you've written about this, is there's sort of an infrastructure in place. And this gets back to your comment about courage, where the whole advertising industry is built on fear. You don't want to lose the customer. You don't want to upset a customer. You don't want to, upset an industry. You don't want to lose your job. You want it to get approved by the legal department. Then we've got this new sort of fear I call the Bud Light shakes. And what I mean by that is
I know what you mean by that.
I did a workshop for one of the biggest consumer product companies in the world. And the CMO kicked off this workshop and he said, we all must realize we are one post away from becoming Bud Light. So that just sends this shiver of fear down the spine of the whole organization. So I think almost everybody I know wants to be audacious, wants to be bold. I think most people have the capability to do it. But there's this infrastructure of fear that holds people in its place, holds companies in their place. And I think it's a leadership issue about, protecting people, protecting ideas, creating an atmosphere where you don't have to be afraid. And I think, and then part of it is also on a personal level, taking risks, doing experiments, doing pilots, getting that first win that allows you to try for something more bold to get the second win. And then, your career takes off.
So remember I said I had a little bit of fun with AI, speaking of which, you gave me a couple of fun facts, and you've been on the show enough times, and I had to do something creative with fun facts. And so you gave me the fact. It's like, what am I going to do with the fact that I danced with John Bonet's mother? So I uploaded a photo of you, and I went to Grok, to Midjourney, and to ChatGPT to get a sense as to what that image would look like on Dancing with the Stars. And I'm not going to tell you which was from which, but these were the three that they came up with. And then I'm going to show you one more. So that's number one.
Okay.
This is number two.
Okay.
And this is after multiple prompts, and this was number 3.
I would say number 2 is Grok.
It might have been, and this was number 4, which was me.
Yeah, yours is the best.
So I did this specifically for an example because I uploaded, people know who John Bonet's mother was. ChatGPT knows who you are, which we'll get to in a moment. And I couldn't get the right one. And eventually I was like, you know what? This is one of those examples, Mr. Mark Schaefer, where we use GPS in ways so much that we forget our sense of direction.
Yeah.
And so why not just take some two very badly cut out, oversized
and you know
heads
what? It's
and put them on bodies?
It's better. It's better. And it's something that you and I were talking about before you pushed record, right? It's this proof of human.
Yeah.
Right.
Permission to be human.
When you cut out the faces, it's like it's so bad. ChatGPT wouldn't do something that bad.
I wouldn't say it's bad. I'm joking.
No, it was really bad. But it kind of shows like it's human. You cared. You took the time instead of just writing a prompt. And there's a whole series of research about that called the pratfall effect, where if you are vulnerable and make mistakes and people see you make mistakes, if you're an honest, credible person in the first place, that makes you even more beloved. Now, if you're kind of a schmuck and and you're not trustworthy and you talk about your mistakes, well, then you're just a person that makes mistakes. But if you're someone that is really trying to do good work in the world, trying to be an honest, helpful person, and you leave the mistakes in, that adds to your credibility. It makes you more beloved. And I think that art, that is a perfect example of that. It's a perfect example of that. Why wouldn't I love you more? Because you took the time to do this on your own instead of the lazy route of going to Grok.
Clearly not a lot of time, but very little time to do that. Yeah. No, I'm joking. Okay, so here was another example. So this is going to be Exhibit B. I have 7 patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, gee, I wonder what these patterns would be. So let's go to ChatGPT and do a little bit of this is going to be fun. I feel, all right. So I said, do you know who Mark Schaefer is? Of course, I know Mark Schaefer. Mark Schaefer is a legend. He's a humanist. He's this. He's that, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw he's also been a guest on my show. So I say, would you like me to give you a few Mark Schaeferisms? So I turn around and I say, so was this you talking or you talking on behalf of me? The response is, that was me talking on your behalf, channeling your voice, passionate, informed, credible, a little irreverent, but deeply respectful, as if it was you.
Whoa.
So okay, so a couple more suggestions.
Yeah.
And then basically, asks if I want some tribute tweets. So I said, sure, let's do some of them as well. So these are promo tweets, maybe for the show, and even a LinkedIn post, mid-length, called The Wisdom of Mark Schaefer. By the way, I'll be sending all of the invoices in the mail. And so I'm bored of this because I don't need this stuff. I said, apparently Mark has 7 patterns. What do you suppose they'd be? List them.
No one could ever guess.
So here are the patterns: CRM, digital content, social media listening tool, lead scoring, algorithms. My response is, that was a little boring. Can you be a little bit more creative? Why do you assume they're marketing related?
Yeah.
So now the response is, okay, you're challenging me. So now look at what we've got. We've got the empathy algorithm, the authenticity detector, notes TM, the belonging engine, the anti-slick button,
You know what?
The
Those
con-
would make all great products.
I know the content compost machine, the community heart monitor, and the known generator, right?
Damn.
So,
That's
so they're
pretty
all about
provocative.
saving marketing. I know. Want me to go even bigger? Take it to the next level? So I said, well, his new book is called Audacious, so I wouldn't mind some audacious
You
ones.
know what? I mean, look at the personality here. Do you want me to take it to the next level? And you know I will.
Hang
You
on.
know,
Now we've got the Truth Bomb launcher,
yeah,
a sleek wrist device that instantly detonates corporate BS in a 500-meter radius, the
yeah.
Soul Scanner, the permissionless publishing portal, the Human Quotient Meter, HQ, the Cumulative Advantage Accelerator.
Gee,
Okay, he basically invented this already.
yeah.
I mean, the Belonging Builder bot, the Audacity Amplifier, and then it says I can turn it into a post, and
Ah,
is doing that in terms of the carousel, right?
wow,
Uh,
wow.
Optional, and hold on, and then I go, please make it visual. So we actually end up with something that looks like this. I mean, I was having a lot of fun. So
Uh,
this was kind of the visualness of it. And then I'm going to go back to just one more thing. By the way, as you say, some of these are interesting too.
yeah, they are.
So this was my struggle to actually do this, but I want to just go all the way down to the end. I did the intro, etc. So this was there was one more thing as well, which is I said, can you come up with some fun? So what I did is recognizing that I either play two truths and a lie or fun facts. And I was trying to use AI to make this not only relevant, customized, personalized, but also in keeping with your book. I took a step back even and I said, why assume that these are the best segments for my book?
Mhm,
And so I went back and I said, why don't you come up with some ideas for
mhm,
for some segments for my book? I mean for my show.
for
So I
sure.
just want to show you again the
Yeah.
thinking.
Uh-huh.
So there was audacious or atrocious,
Mm,
the Audacity files,
mhm.
Mark or marketing, which is, I read a quote, Mark has to guess, did he say it? Or was it from a
That would be
random marketing guru or
that would
influencer?
be terrifying. No, I would
Rapid
probably
fire, what's overrated? So the
yeah,
funny thing is what it did was it
yeah.
came up with
Wow.
actual segments
Yeah.
specifically for you. And I said, not just to Mark or Audacious, I mean in general. And so a few additional things came up. I love this one, by the way. I give a chance to flip the script. So you
Mm,
get to ask me one question,
yeah.
anything you want.
Mhm.
So Mark, ask me a question, anything you want. Flip the
Okay.
script.
I mean, there's so many questions, but I mean, you have been studying happiness. How are you different today than you were 6 months from now, 6 months ago?
Well, the answer is I've just started along this path,
Hmm.
but I will tell you that I'm happy right now. I am in flow,
Good.
and f-
Wow.
and f- and flow for me, as I'm learning, is about that created path.
Hmm.
It is knowing that I'm unencumbered, that I can be myself in a safe environment. And as I wrote in Forever Change, if this was the last day of your life, will it have been worth it? If
Hmm.
this was the only day of your life, if this was the best day of your life.
Hmm.
So I am learning, and I can tell you what I'm learning. First of all, number one, you cannot pursue happiness directly. It is like staring at the sun. So there is a prism. It is
Hmm.
an you can experience it and find it
Hmm.
indirectly,
Hmm.
and by living a spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional life. But I can tell you that I feel that this is my path. It is my
Yeah.
calling. And I think now more than ever, where a loneliness, isolation, people are isolated, social media has proven to be, a force for a more nefarious force than one for good. Um, it is. I almost feel that I have an obligation to be able to bring this thinking to more people to help them, again, become forever changed. So, am I more happy? Am I happy in general? I don't know. It's too soon to tell. But I can tell that I'm doing things that continue to make me happy.
I think the fact that you're in a state of flow, that is certainly a strong indication that, you've found your calling. And I mean, how can you not be happy, when you're in a state of flow? So that's wonderful to hear. I'm really, really happy for you on that. And I'll tell you something else that, I teach a class in personal branding, and identifying the state of flow is one thing, but being relevant is another. It's applying that flow to what's happening in the world. And I can say, if you can help people be more content, find peace in their heart, find, this indirect path to happiness, you're the right man at the right time, because that's certainly what the world needs right now.
And so are you helping people become, we spoke about permission to be human.
Yeah.
But let's just say, Mark, you've created permission to be audacious. And that's a beautiful thing to say to people, come on in, the water's great. It's not a cold plunge in Finland.
Yeah.
I always find a quote. This is the quote that I found for you. Che Guevara, never mind. Passion is needed for any great work, but for the revolution, passion and audacity are required in big doses.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah,
So,
I definitely got to use that one. I wish I had that before I wrote the book. That's incredible.
well, you have it now, and look, there is an AI revolution coming. So,
Yeah.
passion and audacity may be what we need to be able to hold our own against the machines.
Yeah.
Mark, I would love for you in the time we have to really talk to people and tell them about what is coming and what they can do to be able to stay in the game. I will tell you, the only caveat I'm going to say to this is, it seems like the bar is so low in terms of thought leadership, and all I hear is people say AI will take your jobs. It's not that AI will take your jobs. AI will take the jobs of those who do not use AI. I think we can do better than that. Just to
Yeah.
say,
Right.
so over to you.
Yeah. Well, the reason I wrote this book is because, I'm afraid, and I'm afraid for my friends. I'm afraid for my, my marketing community and people in this industry that, Sam Altman had this very well-known quote about 2-3 months ago. And he said, oh, marketing. He said, oh yeah, in the very near future, 98% of marketing will be immediately replaced. Now, I don't agree with that. But even if he's half right, I mean, that's something to be concerned about. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking about a presentation I went to at South by Southwest, and it was panelists, people from like really, really big companies. And the CMO from this company made this ridiculous statement that says, AI cannot come up with new ideas. And as you were, I was thinking about this as you were showing your prompts and the really clever things that ChatGPT was suggesting to you, and even saying, I can do more. And and we see research now, Joe, that people prefer the empathy expressed through an AI bot over humans, because
Yes.
we can train an AI bot to be the best customer service person we've ever had. They never get tired. They never get irritated. They never show up with a hangover or something like that, right? And so this idea that humanity will prevail because we are empathetic and we have the best ideas. No, AI is amazing, and it's getting more amazing every day. And so we have to be transcendent. We do. And this is the book. I mean, I use the word audacious, but I could have, used transcendent too. It's like, we've got to be better. We have to be better now. We have to call on the things that only humans can do, that are uniquely human. And the book has a framework for this. So, I mean, like, I have a sense of urgency about it. Like I said, I'm desperate to get these ideas out. And, I hope this will reach some new people and spread the word.
Yeah, I love the idea of transcendence. It's a very powerful concept. The two examples that I showed, in terms of, in the end, just going with the crude, cutting out your two oversized heads and putting them on, I knew that was the right answer, because even off the bat, even if I'd got the photorealistic version of you, of 100% you on another body, also the curation, the ability to prompt and reprompt, the discerning nature, it's an edge we have now. But to your point, and I think it's an important one, anybody that uses any absolutes now with AI is doomed to fail. When you say always, everyone, nobody, never, that is the first sign, beginning of the end. However, in this beautiful, murky, transitional time, from transitional transcendence, if you will, we have the opportunity to be perfectly imperfect and have a little bit of fun along the way. That's my way of reframing this entire conversation. And I didn't even need AI to do it.
Yeah, but yeah, and there's so many examples of that. One of the my favorite examples in the book, I got to meet and interview the king of viral video, this guy named Michael Krivicka. And one of his secrets, he said, everybody tries to copy me and they never can. Here's why: because they try to make it perfect. He said, I leave things a little out of focus. Maybe there's dust or a drop of water on the lens. Maybe the audio isn't perfect, because it shows I was there. It's real. It's raw. You're getting a real experience. And he said, it's this proof of human that's going to make people connected to your ideas and your content.
Well, I was there. I was there at South by Southwest when the drones took over, and when we got to see not just a QR code, but one that actually worked. So just to let people know, you could actually use this QR code made by drones in the sky. If you want permission to be audacious, consider it given and granted, courtesy of the Mark W. Schaefer. Go and buy Audacious: How Humans Win in an AI Marketing World. You can follow Mark on Instagram. You can connect with him on LinkedIn or follow him on X. And you will have permission to be human, permission to have fun, permission to be inspired, and permission to even dance on Dancing in the Stars with this wonderful man. The next time he comes back, a smoking jacket will be his. Mark, it's always just an absolute pleasure to hang out with you.
Oh, this was the best hour of my week, my friend. Thank you.
And the best hour of Chuck Norris's week as
well.
You
are Chuck Norris approved.
And we will be back sometime, who knows when, if the machines haven't taken over. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.